Nellen, and my business is Coaching for Champions. I am really excited about the technology piece because I work one-on-one, and I think it's time to take this stuff to a bigger platform. Okay, so I work with athletes from youth through professional, and what I find is many of them have bypassed the mental side of sports preparation and also performance. I was a professional dancer when I was young. I came up studying very hard, danced professionally for several years, and then had a broken foot, and I decided to change direction and see if I could help athletes and performers in the areas that I hadn't received. So I have a two-pronged approach to my business, which is the mental skills, the mental challenges, and the physical skills and the physical challenges. And what I got really passionate about back in about 2000 was that drugs and performance supplements are rampant in sports today. And kids pretty much take it for granted that that's part of the path that they need to take to get an edge. I don't believe that. I know it's not true, and I've worked with athletes who can take their own resources and go far, and many of you know that. I know. I met the wonderful young man who's a basketball player in Germany. So the areas that I start with are mental. And the reason for that is that a student may want to get a college scholarship, but if they're not in the right frame to go for it, as you all know, there are many challenges along the way. The first thing that I try to get them clear on is what they're passionate about. And if they're not passionate, they lose the will and the drive to get through the challenges that arise. So for example, when I was young, I didn't come from a lot of money. I went to a ballet performance when I was 7, and I remember as soon as I saw the dancers on the stage, I knew I wanted to be a dancer. There was no doubt. So even though my dad wasn't around much, he was working, my mom wanted me mostly out of the house, I devoted myself night and day. I mean, I ate, breathed, slept, and studied to be a ballet dancer. And in college, I became a concert modern dancer and then danced professionally. But it's that drive, that passion that sustained me, because there are so many obstacles on the path that come up. So that's the first thing, and a lot of these kids going for college scholarships, sometimes it's the parents driving them. In many cases, the parents are driving them, and the kids develop resentment. I want them to be really clear that they're choosing to be a football player, or a basketball player, or a baseball player because they really want it. So here's a story. There was a young man, age 9. His dad took him to his first football practice, and he was sitting on the bench afterwards. And his dad said to him, "So, what'd you think?" He said, "Dad, I love bashing people." And from that day on, he spent the next 25 years in a happy pursuit of a professional career as a football player. Now, this guy played 12 years in the NFL, and now he's a motivational speaker. He was known as Mech the Wreck. You may know Carl Mecklenburg, who played with the Denver Broncos. But he said to me, if his dad had been the one driving him, he would have never made it. He wasn't particularly big. He wasn't particularly tall. He was the second to the last draft round pick. But it was his own drive that got him where he wanted to go. And so he showed me, and I also know this, that it's really important that an athlete is, I call it being aligned with their own heart. There's a place inside that knows what you're really excited about. If it's not sports, don't do it. You know, if it is, you've got all you need because the power is within you. So Carl said to me when he was coming up, and He lost scholarships, he had injuries, he had to change schools, all the things that happen to many athletes. But he said, and there was one point, I think it was in high school, when his coach was trying to get him to quit. And he had to run these big hills behind the football field. And he said the whole time he was running these really hard hills every day, like 100 times. He said, he chanted to himself, "You can't make me quit." And that's the passion that I'm talking about, that I want the kids to access. The second thing I think that's really important is they've got to be able to, and this goes for anybody in this room, you have to enliven, you have to make your goal real, tangible, blow it up and make it have meaning to you. So I spend time with them so that they can get clarity as to where they're going. If you want to do some of these questions, I was hoping there'd be more athletes here to do it, but I'll take a little time and let you go through this for yourself, because no matter what you do in your work here, these are powerful questions. The first question is, what do you want? And what will you have when you've achieved what you want? When do you want it?